started. Mr. Dowling, do we have any prayer requests?
We do, President Smith. We have several. First of all, family and friends of Calvary student Lane Mangum, who passed away in a tragic drowning this week. His stepmother is a teacher at Coke Middle School. Her name is Joanne Mangum. Family and friends of Cecil Tucker, a para airline. Did I say the name correct? Cecile, I'm sorry. Passed away yesterday. A funeral was Monday, June 7th, 3 p.m. Visitation is 1:30 to 3. Recently retired athletic coordinator Ronnie Coker just finished his 3rd chemo treatment. His numbers are looking good. We need to keep him in our prayers. Emily Sinagra, student at Benton High School at St. Jude's, prayed for her numbers to go up and the pressure that's being measured in her head to go down so that she's allowed to come home. Airline High teacher Dana Netball, I'm sorry. Lost, is in stage 4 cancer. And please keep her in your prayers. And then our retirement specialist, Mary Denman, continues to undergo cancer treatment. And as always, those that have been affected by COVID.
Please bow your head. Father God, first and foremost, we want to thank you for another day that we've never ever seen before. And Father God, we ask that you will bless and keep those families that are affected by COVID and those families that Mr. Dowling just mentioned. Please, Father God, lift them up, help them to keep the faith, and let them know, Father God, that you have not forgotten about them. And we ask that you will help us tonight to make a decision that is desirable to you, and that we will take ourselves out of it, and that it will be your will be done. And Father God, we thank you again for everything that you've done, everything that you're going to do. Bless each and everyone here and those that have a desire to be here. In your name, I do pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion by Ms. Brotherton, second by Mr. Newman. Please vote. Approval of the agenda for the regular session of the board for June 3rd, 2021.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Darby, second by Mr. Dean. Please vote. Motion passes. There are no recognitions tonight. 3.01 request approval of 21-22 schedule of board meetings presented by Mitch Downey, Superintendent.
Thank you, President Smith. Board members, you have a copy of the proposed schedule in your packet, and as well as on your screen, and you can see the proposed meeting dates. If you'll notice, there's one meeting scheduled in July, and also one in December.
That's a motion by Mr. Vanberg, second by Ms. Darby. Please vote. Motion passes. 3.02, to conduct the interviews for the vacant District 11 board member. So the process tonight will be, we had 2 applicants who applied, Mr. Bertrand and Ms. Mickey Royer. And what I'm going to do is allow Mr. Bertrand to come up first, please. And you're going to have 3 minutes to introduce yourself to the board, and then each board member will have a chance to ask you maybe a question if they would like to.
Mr. Bertrand, Ms. Royer, I'll be keeping time as we near the end of the 3 minutes. If I raise my hand, your time is near expiration. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent Downey, President Smith, and Bossier Parish School Board members. My name is Robert Bertrand. I'd like to thank all of you for your time and your considerations this evening as I humbly ask to serve not only District 11, but to serve Bossier Parish schools in its entirety. My journey here tonight started in a small town of 12,000, just 18 miles south of Lafayette, Louisiana. I graduated from Abbeville High School in 1979, continued my education by earning a bachelor's degree in business communication in 1984 from the University of Louisiana, Lafayette. My high school and college years were busy years. There was football, track, baseball, drama, student council, music. It was at that early age that I realized the true power of teamwork. I mean, if you can imagine a football team with just a quarterback, or a baseball team with just the pitcher, or maybe a band with just the tuba player. I know I wanted to play something different, really, like the drums, something really cool, or the trumpet, but my statue fit the tuba player. The point is, no one can whistle a symphony. It takes the orchestra to play it. All of the scenarios just mentioned would be impossible to achieve a level of success by acting alone. As an American author, activist, and lecturer Helen Keller stated, alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. Throughout my journey, whether it be in my educational endeavors, my business endeavors, my work at Vermilion Parish School Board, to my years as a facilitator of Vermilion Parish District Attorney's Office Domestic Abuse Intervention Program, there has always been one common denominator. I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by not individuals. I was fortunate to be surrounded by team members that had a common vision. A group like this board before me tonight, made up of teammates that are formed when each member is sure enough of themselves and their contributions to praise the skills of its other members. I am confident that I will contribute, and I will respect and acknowledge the skills of all that I serve with. In the words of our 32nd President, Theodore Roosevelt, I'm not the smartest fellow in the world, but I sure can pick smart colleagues. Tonight, as I stand before you, I humbly ask for the opportunity to become a member of this successful team. A team that converts ideas into realities. A team with goals to further, strengthen, and build relationships between Bossier Parish schools and the community it serves. Thank you.
Take a few questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over here with Mr. Dean. If you have a question, you don't have one? Okay. Mr. Brotherton?
my question is, what will you bring to this board in the way of an asset? What will you bring to this board?
I would bring the atmosphere of teamwork, the atmosphere of open communication. I think a lot of the problems that arise in whatever situation is poor communication. Some people seem to think that since you can pronounce words and use your mouth, that you're a great communicator. Actually, just the opposite. Great communicators have good ears. They listen. And as a board member, I would bring an openness of communication amongst all the members, that every one of us feels like that we've been heard.
Thank you.
Mr. Marquez? Mr. Newman?
Mr. Bertrand, thank you for your interest in the position. Thank you for coming tonight to speak before us, and we appreciate your eagerness. Just real quick, I guess my question is more of a discussion topic. What do you feel are things that could be improved upon coming from the public eye, where you haven't been on this side of the fence, which is not a bad thing, trust me. But coming from the public eye and being a constituent of, District 11, what are some things that you feel that we need to focus on moving forward and that you would like to bring to the forefront?
Really, I haven't heard much from people in my district about any complaints. We were led by a great board. You guys have done a fantastic job with the school systems. The biggest I have, being a family member that has many educators in my family, the biggest thing would be salaries, is what people always want to talk about. And I guess the biggest question is always, what would you do to get, teachers, educators to come here, to move in our direction, serve our parish? Naturally, the default answer is always competitive salaries. I think not all people are so moved by salaries. I think some people are moved by securities. They want to feel safe in their schools. Some people are moved by benefits. So instead of just defaulting to salaries all the time, which is a great thing to do, we should also pay some attention to the benefits that our employees get. Can we get better health insurance? Can we get them better vision, dental plans, support when they need it? I believe teachers want to be acknowledged. Administrators want to be heard. And I believe I can bring the open ear and the open mindedness to this parish.
Excellent. Thank you.
For District 11, there are big shoes to fill. He's sitting back there. You can look
They
at
certainly are.
And I know that they've done a lot of work to have the community brought in that district. What type of relationship do you think the board should have with the community? And how would you handle requests if approached by a member of the community, special interest groups, teachers?
I wouldn't be so quick as to respond with a definitive answer. I'm sure, as you all know, there are a lot of questions that come your way. Not all questions are so easily and quickly answered. My response to those individuals would be, allow me to do my homework. Let me do my research. Let me find out what's better for all of us. And in that effort, it gives us time to talk amongst other board members, administrators, teachers. I think the best decisions are made when there are a lot of different views put on the table, and then we talk about them and pick out the best of the best. So, with that said, I would be very careful to answer quickly, say things right off the cuff. I would be much more comfortable telling them, and I think they would be much more comfortable telling them that I hear their concerns and allow me and this board to do our research and do our homework so we can get the best answers.
Well, I'm not sure if you can fill Shane's shoes, but I'm sure you can fill his jackets from your conversation. So it looks good. My question is this: you've heard here tonight. We've gone over our budget. We've gone over several different things. Everything really revolves around that budget and money. And looking at your resume, I see that you're a business owner and you've managed a budget that's over $11 million. What's been the most challenging part of that budget management, and how would you approach that if you were to serve on this board?
I guess the most challenging part of any budget of that size is to make sure that the communication lines stay open. Make sure if someone has an opinion or an avenue they would rather follow, the challenge is not to jump on the wagon right away. It's to take your time and research what you need to do to make a good decision. I'm not sure I answered that question.
You did. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Mr. Bertrand.
Thank you, ma'am.
You spoke about you want to serve all the districts, not just your district. So, do you have any ideas, or what type of ideas do you have to bring all the schools in the whole district, not just District 9 or 11, to bring them all up to par as far as facilities and the technology, the things that they need?
Ma'am, if there's one thing that the board will learn about me is that if I don't know the answer, I won't try to make it up just to fit the bill or sound convincing. I really don't know the answer to your question right off the cuff at this time. I think as a new board member, it takes time for me to have these conversations with different districts, not just one in mind, with different members of different districts. So I really can't give you a solid answer on that question.
That's fair. So let me ask it another way. Would you be in favor of a moratorium placed on the schools, say for 3 to 5 years, a school that has already had major infrastructures done, that they wouldn't be able to come back, and that you would be able to go to the other schools that had needs, unless there was something major?
That's exactly where I was going to go with this. It's hard to say in favor of a moratorium when schools have had major renovations done and updates done, because you never know what Mother Nature calls for. You never know if there's a certain growth, a spurt in growth in one area of this parish. There may be certain needs that were unforeseen. So I wouldn't be so quick as to tie in the hands of Mother Nature or the growth of any particular area in our parish.
Thank you. Mr. Reed?
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Bertrand, I don't know you. This is my first time meeting you. You speak very well.
Thank you, sir.
So my question is, what will you do to ensure that the Bossier Parish school board continues to progress and prosper?
I'm a worker bee. I want to understand things If I don't know it, it eats away at me until I research it and find it out and get a good understanding of what's the outcome. So what I would do from the beginning would probably be talk to administrators, talk to you board members who have been around, who know the system, who know the ups, you know the downs, you know the needs of the administrators, the staff, the teachers. So that's where I would begin my journey, is basically gathering information from you people who have been doing this for many years and doing it very successfully.
Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I would like to thank you for your willingness to serve your community.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Bertrand. I believe this is our first time
It is.
to meet.
Good evening, sir.
Welcome to our meeting, and best of luck to you. What prompted you to seek out this vacancy? And if you are successful, do you anticipate running for election in the general election to retain the seat?
I've always had a heart for serving. It's what I grew up in Cajun country. We have a heart to help, serve. We want to do that. I've done that ever since my children were little. I've done it through high school and college and certain committees. So it's in my heart to serve. It's what I love to do. Will I run for election? You betcha.
Follow-up to that, sir. What prompted you to seek the position today as opposed to the last general election or the one before that? What has prompted this interest all of a sudden?
The position for District 11 opened up. That's where I live. So that position became vacant, and as soon as I heard of the vacancy, my wheels started to turn.
Well, it was a vacant position previously, a couple of terms ago, I believe, and you chose not to run at that time.
I was not living in District 11 at that time, so
Thank you, sir.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Slack, do you have a question?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Bertrand. We're going to go to Ms. Royer now. For her, we appreciate it. And if you'll stick around, we're going to take a vote here in a few minutes.
Great. Thank you, board members.
Ms. Royer? And you'll have your 3 to 4 minutes for your intro, and then we'll ask questions. Okay?
And then I'll raise my hand.
I'm not going to bore you with a long speech because most of my information is on there. I've done some things that's not on there, but I thought that was the ones that would not pertain to what I need to know about doing this. Most of you know me. I'm dependable. I've been to almost every school board meeting for the last 40 years. I think I've been to more than anybody else in this room. You know, I'll show up whenever you call me to do anything. I'm a single mother. My husband died 27 years ago. I have one son. He works in Texas. He comes home about 3 times a year. So I'm free to do whatever. I'm retired from the school board. I'm free to work whenever, meet whenever, or do anything. I have experience. I've been the president of a group. The biggest part of the 40 years I've been working, I worked for 42 years with the board. And most of that time I was president of the group and on the state board level too. So I've experienced that, and having owned the business for about 40 years, that's a good experience. But sitting up here and listening to y'all and knowing most of the problems. I know how you feel about different things, and I've known Mr. Downey longer than that, because he rode my bus years ago. I won't say how many. He sat on the front seat. By choice. That was so he was in the room running I always tell a joke on him, but I won't tell it tonight. But he really gave me no problem. He was good. I didn't have to make him sit on the front seat. He liked to sit up there. So we always got along good. And
Ready for your questions to begin?
Sure.
All right, here we go. Mr. Dean. Ms. President.
Welcome. And I know you feel welcome here.
Yes.
I'll ask you the same question that I asked Mr. Bertrand. Why would we vote? Why would I vote for you? What asset would you bring to this board?
My experiences in different groups that I've been president or a member of. I've worked with many people, and I worked with some of the people here for different things. I used to be on the insurance committee with the school board. I sold insurance at one time. I sold real estate at one time. That didn't satisfy me, so I just kept moving around until I got caught up with the school board. So for 22 years, I think that's a pretty good record. So I just think that I know how to work with people, and I'm willing to work with people, meet any time that needs to be met, and do anything you want me to do.
Thank you.
Mr. Newman?
I'm good, actually. Ms. Royer, thank you for everything you've always done. You've been here every meeting I've been. It's right there. So
Thank you.
thank you for your dedication.
Ms. Royer, how would you handle requests of approach by members of the community, special interest group, teachers, and I'll just go ahead and throw in bus drivers because I know they'll all be calling you. So how would you handle that and separate that from the role that you have held for these number of years?
Well, I know that they will still be contacting me, but I'll have to tell them that I'm for everybody, for every employee, and we have to take into consideration every aspect of the different groups. I do think that teachers need a raise. Actually, I think everybody needs a raise, but there's just so much you can give people. You just have to work through it, every so often. But I try to satisfy them with the answer I give, and not raise one group above the other.
Thank you.
Ms. Royer Baylor wanted me to tell you hello tonight.
Thank
So
you.
hello, it's good to see you. Thank
Tell
you
them
for
all
coming.
three I said hello.
I will, yes ma'am. You've been here every board meeting that I've been at also. So my question is, in your opinion, in the last term, the last 2 to 3 years, what's the biggest mistake we've made? And what's the thing we've done the best here at the board? Because you've been to every single one of them.
It's not so much mistakes as you do as much as you can with what you got, but you're limited to certain things, typical certain laws. So you do what the law allows you, or what something new you can introduce. You try to introduce it and get it changed. But I want all 3 kids to remember. I watch them on Facebook.
Yes, ma'am. Well, what's one thing that you're really glad that we've done?
Well, I like this building. I've been in the ones that they've been, and there would be people seated and people all around us, and out the door and out down the sidewalk. So I'm glad we have to big enough a place to meet that everybody can meet.
Thank you. I think your predecessor had something to really do with that person that served before you. So,
Oh yes.
Thank you for your time.
Ms. Guerrero, thank you for coming. One question is, will you be running for the...
Yes, definitely.
Mr. Wiggins?
Thank you, Madam President. I do have a question for you. Ms. Nikki Roy, I have some comments also. I have a question for you. I also must mention the wonderful things you always do. I've seen you work for us for more than 20 years, it's true. You always put others before yourself. It's what you always do. You love our school system and the people involved. And if you get this job, I know you'll be about getting our problems well solved. So my question is, will you be the same Nicky Royer that works her fingers to the bone, help our school system improve its situation until it's time to go home?
I don't know how to do anything else but work. I've always worked, so I continue the same thing, just with a little bit different people.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I am going to come up with a question, Ms. Nikki. If you do serve with us, are you going to have to cut that chair off and bring it up here?
I guess so. Or you'll put the name on the back of the chair.
There we go.
You can always promise me you'll fix that.
I promised that I hadn't produced it yet, so I'm sorry about that. But, well, thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Royer. Thank you for your interest in this position. Thank you for your dedication to Bossier Parish school system. Along the same lines of the question I posed to Mr. Bertrand, what prompted you to step up now as opposed to the last 2 or 3 times this position was up for election in the general election? What prompted you to seek the position now?
When you work for the school board, you can't run for the school board.
Understood.
I just retired a short time ago, so I haven't been free to run.
You prefer to retain your school board position as opposed to seek election?
Well, at the time, but
And that's understandable.
I knew it was time to retire and do other things. But I like to keep busy because my sister retired and she sits in her chair and she reads her books. And I told her I was running for the school board seat, and she said, why? And I said, because I like a structured, something to keep me busy. I don't want to be sitting around in a chair reading books the rest of my life. I can do that when I can't move around much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Slack, no question?
Yes.
Okay.
I know the question, Mr. Royer, I appreciate you seeking this seat. And I've been knowing you a long, long time. In fact, my wife was a bus driver.
Exactly.
And you helped her every time she needed help. And I appreciate that, and I remember that. And I'm going to give you a vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I remember you're right, because after she retired, it was something she needed, and I took it over to your house, so, and gave it to her.
Don't talk too much, I'm going to try if you do.
Okay, Ms. Roy, thank you.
Good job.
Board members, we have a half sheet at each of your desks. If you would, please circle the applicant that you would like to vote for, and then sign your name, and then print under that, and then if you will pass it to, please. qualified candidates, and that was noted in the vote. The total vote is 6-5 for Mr. Robert Bertrand to serve. He will be sworn in at the July 15th meeting, and then serve until the election, which is October the 9th, I believe. You said 3 Okay. Okay, so for the record, Dennis Bamberg, Robert Bertrand. Adam Bass, Robert Bertrand. Kent Thoughthouse, Mickey Royer. Billy Joe Robertson, Robert Bertrand. Glenn Bullard, Robert Bertrand. Sam Darby, Mickey Royer. Dwayne Dean, Mickey Royer. Eric Newman, Robert Bertrand. J.W. Slack, Mickey Royer. Tammy Smith, Robert Bertrand. Kenneth Wiggins, Mickey Royer. So again, it was 6-5. It was very close. We appreciate very much and y'all's willingness to serve. So we will be giving you the information, Mr. Bertrand.
Thank you.
Would you like to say anything?
I just want to thank the board for your considerations tonight, for giving me your ear. Thank you for the questions that you answered. They were very good questions. And again, I just want to assure you of my commitment to a good work ethic and to have an openness of communication with all of the board, and also to make decisions based on the best interest of not just District 11, but all of Bossier Parish schools. Thank you so much for your confidence in me.
And we truly appreciate your willingness to serve and look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
3.04 request, Child Nutrition RFP Awards presented by Ms. Horton, Supervisor of Child Nutrition Program.
Good evening, Superintendent Downing, President Smith, and members of the board. Tonight I'm coming before you to present the results of our RFP solicitations for next school year. We gave out 5 RFPs, and these are the results. For food, bread, and milk, we only had a sole vendor that bid for each of them. U.S. Foods, which is a state contract for food, Bimbo Bakeries for bread, and Gordon for milk. And we've used these vendors many times before, and they have a very good track record. So we would ask that they would be awarded. The next category is chemicals and cleaning. And so it's split right down the middle between Carefree and BCC, both of which are local family-owned Bossier Parish businesses. And so it was a line item award, and so it was split right down the middle. And then the last RFP is paper and plastics. We had multiple vendors that were awarded. Again, we did these via line item. And U.S. Foods, which is a state contract, won 21 of those items. Carefree won 2. Long's won 5. BCC won 4. And Empire Paper won 3. So again, I want to point out that Carefree, BCC are both Bossier City family-owned businesses, and then Long's is also a family-owned business, but they're in Northwest Louisiana and not necessarily in our parish. So I ask that you would please award them. I assure you that we've done our homework, and Ms. Douglas in purchasing has double-checked our numbers and made sure that we followed, Ms. Bamberg looks over and make sure we followed all bid laws to give everybody an equal opportunity to bid, to provide our Bossier Parish students and cafeterias with all of the supplies we need to continue to feed them for breakfast and lunch every day.
So motion to approve. So we have a motion by Ms. Brotherton and a second by Ms. Darby. Please vote. Motion unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Horton.
Thank you.
3.05 report Finance Committee meeting held June 3rd, presented by Eric Newman.
Thank you, Madam President. Finance Committee met today at 4 o'clock at the BIC. Just about everybody was here. Ms. Darby did show up late, but she ended up being here. We have a few items to consider. First is we had a motion that the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board approve the final revised budget for 2020-2021. This passed unanimous out of committee.
This is out of committee. Please vote.
Item number 2, the committee recommends that the Bossier Parish School Board approve the extension of rolling over annual leave days. The committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board approve the extension of rolling over the 2020-2021 annual leave days over the 45-day maximum for 12-month employees up to, that should actually read a 55-day cap this year in the 2021-2022 school year. And this passed unanimous out of committee as well.
This is out of committee, please vote.
Item number 3, the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board approve the award of physical agent agreement for 2021-2022. This passed out of committee.
This is out of committee, please vote. Motion approved.
Item number 4, the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board approve the award of the legal journal for 2021-2022. This also passed out of committee.
This is out of committee, please vote. Motion passes.
Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, 3.11 report, administrative committee meeting held June 3rd, presented by Kenneth Wiggins, chairperson.
Thank you, Madam President and Board. The Administrative Committee met this afternoon at 5 p.m. All members were present. We have 5 items on the agenda. They are as follows. The motion was made that the committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board approve revision of Bossier Parish School Board policies FGF, change orders, GBQ, retirement, GPRK, annual leave, IDE, extracurricular, JDD suspension, and IDCA summer school as recommended by council. That's out of committee.
These are out of committee, please vote. Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my report.
Thank you. 3.14, report, buildings and grounds planning and development committee meeting held June 3rd, presented by Glenn Fuller, chairperson.
Thank you, Madam President. There are a couple of items that require board action. The committee did meet today. All members were present, along with our president and vice president, our ex officio members, and also Mr. Bamberg, Mr. Vacant, and Mr. Slack. First of all, there was a motion. The committee recommends the Bossier Parish School Board approve that contract in the amount of $656,365.14, representing acceptance of the base bid plus alternates 1 and 2 to be awarded to Hydroline as the lowest responsible bidder meeting specifications, and further request authorization.
Mr. Roller, it was not to Hydroline, it was to Bossier.
I'm sorry, I'm reading. You are correct, ma'am.
And it was for 720.
Can we correct? Let's get the correct amount, because I'm taking it off this minute schedule, which is
it was 664, 300 for the base bid with alternative 1 and 2 of 45, 256.25, and 18.7 for the base and alternates at 728, 256.25.
the final total again,
$728,256.25.
Thank you, Madam President, and I do apologize. The amount, corrected amount, $728,256.25, and the bid plus alternates was to Boggs and Poole as the lowest responsible bidder meeting specifications. And we also want to request authorization for the superintendent to exercise the contract. This was approved unanimously out of the committee.
This is out of committee. Please vote. Motion passes.
Second, the committee recommends Bossier Parish School Board authorize the superintendent to act on its behalf to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Jerry Juneau, donor, for facility and site improvements at Airline High School, and authorize the superintendent to sign related documents and approve individual projects.
This is out of committee. Please vote. Motion passes.
There were a couple of items for discussion only. First of all, Mr. Stacy Grozier, our Director of Maintenance, provided an update on the grant received from the Public Service Commission for lighting improvements. Secondly, Mr. Clarence Babineau gave the board a status update on storm damage projects at Airline High, Hollow Elementary, the Big, Benton Middle, Meadowview Elementary, and TL Rhodes Elementary. And that concludes my report.
3.18, request for privilege request. Superintendent Downey releasing order.
These are in order, Madam President.
Have a motion. Motion by Mr. Wiggins. Second by Mr. Newman. Please vote. Motion passes. 4.01, announcements and superintendent's comments.
Thank you, President Smith. The next regular session of the board will be July 15th, 6 p.m. here at the Vic. That concludes my announcement.
Thank you. Mr. Slack.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn, a second by Mr.